Projection systems. Projection systems, oh, they're at the heart of GIS. They're the bane of GIS professionals. In a nutshell, this is another thing that in my class, I'll spend a whole night talking about, or 3 hours or a whole week, whatever, about projection systems and how they work and why they matter. And I'm just going to give you a quick overview of that, so in case you run into some issues when you're using this template. Projection systems are the way the computer translates, the way it takes the round globe and it flattens it out and puts it on a flat screen. All right, this really matters quite a bit when you are dealing with the world, right? You know, Greenland is not that big. In reality, Greenland is about the size of Mexico. Things get stretched out, when you try to take a round globe and flatten it out, right? As you zoom in closer, like if I zoom into, Massachusetts, things, relatively speaking, flatten out, right? The curve isn't as great. So we try to zoom in as much as we can, and then we'll switch, instead of using that latitude and longitude that we talked about, right? That area right underneath Greenwich, England, and at the equator, which is down here, also called Null Island. Don't worry about that. But that origin point, when we talked about vectors and rasters, is somewhere around here. That's pretty far away from typically where we're mapping. So what we do is we artificially set our origin point. Say we're dealing with Massachusetts somewhere down here, and then everything is a positive number, and we can deal with things like that and just measure things in meters typically. And that just makes our life easier. And I won't get into all the other juicy details about it. But what you need to know for this course is that this map is set in a projection system, and it can be accessed with this button down here, down on the bottom right. It says EPSG. This is this unique code for these projection systems. Again, I won't go into that, but if you click that, you'll get these projection systems. As you progress in your GIS journey, you'll learn to use this state plane or kind of zoom in. Don't worry about that right now. Just understand, this is what I need you to remember. We use 3857, the WSG 84 pseudo Mercator. This is in meters, which helps me measure out everything and do the calculations. I can deal with meters and do the math in meters a lot better than I can do it in latitude and longitude. So we'll leave it there. But this map that we is in 3857. If your work, if I switch this to another system, it's going to be a mess, and my computer's going nuts. Trying to calculate and translate everything, and you're not going to see much. But if you get something like this where you have these just big blue screens, what you're looking at is a zoomed in Class B airspace line. It's translating everything right now as we speak, so it's going to be a mess. So if your computer has trouble with that, check your projection system. Go and click it back to 3857. And make sure it stays there, and that'll get you back to where you want to be. I kind of have a saying in my career that I've learned. Whenever I'm having an issue and something's not working, I say it's always the projection system. And even when it doesn't seem like it's the projection system, it's always the projection system. It's always messing things up. It's a big part of what's going on. We talk about GIS and how it does all these calculations underneath the hood, and we don't really have to deal with that. That's great. The downside is, if something goes wrong, it can go wrong globally. Not go wrong, but if something's not working, if you don't tell it what projection system you're in, it can be a mess. Again, I'm getting too deep into this. Make sure this is at 3857. Really kind of my main message here with these projection systems. Okay, so that is that. So, or if you ever have any issues and you can't figure out what's going on, you know, and you're Googling a stack exchange or trying to figure this out in QGIS, always think about the projection system first. It's almost always the problem, even when it doesn't seem to be. So at least that's been my experience. Take it for what it's worth. So anyway, there we go. Projection systems.